What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning into Mixed Doubles again this week, the show that gives you the facts and the stats on the court, but gets into the good stuff off the court as well. I'm Kerry.
And I'm Matt.
So the year has finally come to an end with the women's year-ending championships coming to a close in Istanbul, Turkey, and the men's year-ending final reaching its conclusion as well at the O2 Arena in London, England. On the women's side, shocker, Serena does it again. Serena defeated Lena, who I was actually very happy to see in the finals with her, in a three-set 2-6, 6-3, 6-0 match, taking the finals in Istanbul, Turkey to close out the year as the world #1 women's player for the third time in her career. Serena finishes the year with 13,260 singles points, with Victoria Azarenka in the rear view at the #2 spot with 8,046 singles points, Lena third in the point standings, and Sharapova and Aga Radwanska rounding out the top 5 to end the year. So what I find particularly interesting is the vast difference between our #1 and #2 players winning singles points.
Yeah, there's quite a big gap right there. So,
huge gap between the two.
So I think Serena is out to make a statement. Well, she has made a statement for this year, but also in 2014 because she's basically chasing history now at this point. She has 17 slams.
Steffi Graf's at 22 with the title.
Yeah, so she's looking to maybe catch Steffi Graf with at 22 or surpass her with maybe 23, 24. So you got to think if she's, how old is she now? 33?
She's 32.
32. So if she were to play until she's 35, another 3 years, hopefully, without injury, she stays healthy, then I could see that she could possibly do it.
I think so. Honestly, I think that Serena is going to do it. What do you guys think? Email us and let us know.
On the men's side, Joker's wild. Novak Djokovic does it again, defeating Rafael Nadal in straight sets 6-3 and 6-4 to win the Barclays ATP World Tour Final in London. Both players remain undefeated on their way to the championship match where they squared off against each other. Even though Novak walks away with the title, Rafa finishes the year as the world #1, clinching it with his second round robin win in London. Having won 10 titles, including 2 slams at Roland Garros and the US Open, as well as winning 6 of 8 ATP 1000 events, and reaching the semis in the other 2 that he did not win, I would say that the knees are fine. Rafa finishes the year with a 75-7 match record. The men's standings for the end of the year are Rafa at #1 with 12,030 points and Novak Djokovic at 10,610, with Ferrer in the 3rd spot and Murray and Delpo rounding out the top 5. So the players get to rest finally and do it all again in like 2 weeks. just kidding, but seriously, just over a month and a half, they'll be getting ready for the Australian Open all over again.
These poor guys, they just never get a break.
Nope. So who we're not talking about is Roger Federer in that category for the point standings.
Unfortunately, I was really hoping that Roger was going to pull through and be that dark horse that Sam said he potentially might be,
Yeah, your man Sam Q, he kind of predicted, if he was going to be a dark horse, it was going to be Roger, but he said going into the World Tour Finals, having played 9 matches, coming straight into it.
9 matches in 12 days, which is a ton for anybody to be playing.
So it takes a toll on his body, and Roger said it himself, he never had to kind of prepare like that. He always was guaranteed a spot in the finals, in the top 8. And all of a sudden he has to kind of hustle and make sure he qualifies in the point standings
this year
to even get in.
Absolutely, this year he barely slides in. Super happy that he did make it. Sad that he didn't do so well, but next year, hopefully.
Next year, hopefully he'll get a slam too.
Go Roger, you can do it, buddy.
So, and also Andy Murray, so he's still rehabbing that back, but he tweeted that he's on his way to Miami, so he's gonna be in some warm weather. He says the cold doesn't do justice for his back, so hopefully the warm weather will do him a little bit better.
Well, maybe, or if the back continues to hurt, then I guess it just gives America more of an advantage in the Davis Cup.
This is true. That'll be interesting as well.
I won't be too sad about that.
We'll see you in January.
Sorry, Murray. Now, let's get on to the fun stuff, shall we? Unless you've been living under a rock, you've heard the big news that Kaley Cuoco, star of The Big Bang Theory, is engaged. Kaley recently got engaged to tennis player Ryan Sweeting after only 3 months of dating. I'm a tennis dork, and I didn't even know who Ryan was before this engagement, which has been a complete tabloid frenzy. Perhaps that's because he's ranked number 525 in the world. After doing a little research though, I can see where Miss Cuoco is coming from. I mean, he may not be high on the tennis ladder, but meow. Kaley has actually been a tennis player fan for her entire life as well. She picked up a racket at 3 and was a nationally ranked amateur tennis player as a kid. I don't know, sounds like it's game, set, match for these two. I'm sure Kaley has a lot of private lessons to look forward to.
In other breaking news, the WTA is taking steps in getting rid of excessive grunting during matches. Yes. The WTA has joined with an unnamed research firm with expertise in urban noise levels to help with the gathering of data for their testing. In other words, they will be installing some grunt-o-meters at the matches to gather this data. The aim is to correlate the data and attempt to see if there's a relation between harder shots and louder grunts and attempt to curb its effects for future generations. There are studies that do seem to correlate grunting with better match play. However, the grunting can definitely be called a distraction for the other players as well.
So, Matt, what do you think about this whole grunting issue?
I think this WTA study needs to be put in the WTF file. I've never heard of such a thing. I don't understand it. I don't know. It's more on the women's side. I guess the men really don't have this problem. So. Well,
I think it's because the men grunt, but the women sometimes scream, as we saw in the clip with Maria Sharapova. I actually was watching an interview with Martina Navratilova recently where she said that she played a match with Monica Seles back in the day, and she had to tell the umpire to tell Monica Seles to be quiet because it was so distracting to her. She ended up losing that match, and then after Monica Seles got that warning, she went on the next day to play Steffi Graf, and she was quiet as could be, quiet as a mouse, and she lost badly. So there perhaps is a correlation.
I think there's a little bit of gamesmanship going on because they talk about when they do the practice, none of the women grunt in their practices.
That's not true. That's not true. Women grunt during their practices
they do?
as well.
That
Absolutely.
Loud? That loud?
Maybe not that loud. So, I mean, is this, you know, a tactic to distract the other player? Who knows?
Well, they did use, there was an article where they used a digital sound level meter. So a normal conversation, they were saying, is between 60-70 decibels. What Sharapova puts out there on the court is 103.2 decibels, I believe is what they were saying. So that's louder than a lawnmower.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a couple of women on tour that they don't just grunt, they scream. And that does seem a bit excessive to me as well. I mean, when I play tennis, I grunt, but I'm certainly not screaming to the point that you can't hear the ball at all.
Well, hopefully the WTA solves this mystery for the grunting.
It's a tough one, guys. It's a tough one, WTA. Good luck with this. May the force be with you.
Until then, keep your volume down on your television sets if you're watching women's tennis.
And no jokes, guys. No jokes. It's not funny. That's all for this week, folks. Make sure to shoot us an email if you want to get in touch with us, and we will see you next time.
See ya.